We are one day away from the NBA draft withdrawal deadline. College prospects or players have until Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to submit paperwork that they will not go through the NBA draft formally and can return to school. Otega Oweh has been one of the biggest names that we've been waiting on a decision for, but also one of the only names I think we've been really skeptical that there is even a decision to make. Since the start of this, you and I, just personally, as people and fans and college basketball media members, have interpreted this entire Otega Oweh flirtation with the NBA draft as something that will inevitably conclude in his return to Kentucky. We have not taken it all that serious whatsoever that he could potentially leave. Which is why we are surprised that we are 24 hours away from this and we still don't have a formal declaration. We've seen a lot of other players start to do that. Maybe it will come on Tuesday, today, from Otega, but at the time of this recording, Tuesday morning, it has not. Well, the latest mock drafts are out. All of the post-combine mock drafts have been updated. And if you believe that mock drafts have an indication of what players may have privately said they plan to do, or a telling sign of what is to come, you could glean that maybe Otega Oweh has privately said that he's going to pull out of the NBA draft. The reason being, most of the mock drafts that did have Otega Oweh appearing in the second round somewhere have dropped him from all of those sites. Now, this is all relatively somewhat new. He still does appear late in the second round in a few of these mock drafts, but for the most part, he has not been included. CBS Sports updated their latest mock draft on Friday. Otega was not included. Clutch Points' most recent projections came out on Monday. No mention of Otega Oweh. So I don't know. Maybe CBS and Clutch Points know something ahead of everybody else. Maybe they just didn't like what they saw at the combine and are dropping Otega Oweh. Either way, the fact that he is not even in every mock draft as a projected pick pretty clearly indicates what he should do. The question is, what will he do? Do you think that there is any fire to the smoke here that Otega Oweh is imminently going to return to Kentucky?
I think so, and it's just the right choice, man. It really is because I see him next season if he's in the NBA, right? I think he'd be a second round pick. I think that's pretty fair on what he is right now, and he would probably be a two-way guy, right? Or maybe he gets a second round contract. I don't know, and it'd probably be like a million a year for 4 years. Whereas, I think the last time I looked, the two-way contracts in NBA are like 600,000, 700,000, something like that. He could make like 3 million something probably next year at Kentucky and be the man on a really good Kentucky team. I don't, it just makes it I'm honestly just genuinely confused it's taking this long.
Yeah,
It doesn't really make sense.
that's the weird part, right? Because we agree, everyone agrees. NBA people agree, Kentucky people agree. I think everyone on earth agrees. Otega Oweh should go back to Kentucky, which is why it's got to be a little bit unsettling that we're this late into it and he hasn't just said it, right? I said this on the Axel Lendenborg video, but like, even if you're privately telling people you're going to come back and play in college, why can't you just say it out loud? And as far as we know, Otega is not privately telling people he's coming back. This is actually up in the air from what we've been told. So it's hard to interpret this. Like it's such an obvious, like he should just come back to Kentucky decision that the fact that it hasn't been made does sort of carry this implication of like, well, shit, does he not want to? Like even if he is going to, is it because he feels like he's forced to? And I know Mark Pope has publicly commented a bunch on, he would be the SEC Player of the Year. He's a stud. He's our star. But I listened to the full episode you did with Ralph over the weekend on Monday. You mentioned that Mark Pope said Mo Diabate is the leader of this team.
Yeah.
That felt out of place, didn't it?
It did feel out of place. And like something that we don't talk about that I think needs to be addressed about more so too, as well as like how do you feel if you are on Kentucky or even like Mark Pope? Because like maybe Mark Pope said this for a reason. Like, oh, we're waiting. Like Otega's gonna settle for us because nothing else worked out, and we're gonna pay this guy $4 million to settle for us. He like I'm not saying he doesn't want to be at Kentucky. Like that's not what I'm trying to implicate whatsoever. I think he will want to be there, and obviously we saw what he did last season. But like dragging it out to this point does somewhat carry. Like I'm looking at it as a move where it's like, okay, I'll settle for Kentucky. I'll come back there, sure, pay me my money too, but only because it didn't work out with what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a second fiddle choice.
It's weird when you say it that way. Now, again, I think we are trying to make explanations for like why this just very obvious decision hasn't just been acted on quicker. But the reality is like Otega could just be enjoying his peace right now, knowing he's going to come back and
Lot of pre-draft workouts with him, a lot of gear. A
he
lot of
did a
gear.
lot of that. He got a gear. Yeah, that's fine. So in the end, as long as he chooses Kentucky, none of this matters. We'll put our hands up
Yeah.
and say that. Like it's fine. And if you're Kentucky, you have no choice but to wait this out. This isn't like a PJ Haggerty situation where you're like, ugh, I'm a little annoyed he's not moving forward. You know what? Let's not offer him anymore. Like, no, you have Otega Oweh money set aside for if Otega wants to come back. You will get formal information on that tomorrow at the latest. And I mean, it's one of those things. Again, we still feel adamant he should come. Do you have any ideas of backup plans if he doesn't? Because if it is dragging, you should at least start thinking about what the backup plan is, right?
Yeah, and I mean the only obvious backups are I mean if I was Mark Pope, I'd pivot and hope that RJ Lewis comes back to college. That'd probably be my first call. And then my next move would be to grab my passport.
So you could do that. Des Claude's another name that's been thrown around, still out there that theoretically could throw big money at.
I just forget that's Claus still out there.
Yeah, crazy.
Is
I
he
think
out there? Are we sure he's out there?
he's out there. I
Okay.
floated this with Michigan as a Yaxel backup plan if needed, but I think the most likely backup plan for Kentucky would be a reclassification.
And who would that player like a Tyron Stokes?
I mean, if you're, do we know how much they've set aside for Otega? I would assume at least 3 million,
And I think at minimum three, maybe even upwards of like four.
probably 3.5 would be my guess, and 3.5
Yeah.
is a million more than PJ Haggerty went for. So, like, if you have 3.5 million for one player, Kentucky should be able to get whoever the hell they want at this point. What I would do is throw $3.5 million at Tyron Stokes. And if Tyron really wants to turn down $3.5 million, fine. But nobody else is offering him $3.5 million for one season this season. Everybody else is waiting on him for next year. And I think you'd have an opportunity to secure him. If you didn't get Tyron, I think you could do the exact same thing with Mika Murinen. You probably wouldn't have to give Mika 3.5 million. You could probably give Mika 2 million and get it done. But I think that's the likely outcome here is you go
Would that be your
six
first choice,
players.
a reclass?
If it's one of those two names, I like that better than going all in on like RJ Lewis.
Yeah, what about like a Jameer Watkins?
We'll see. If Watkins does say he wants to play college, I would love that. That's
Yeah.
that's the
I
best case scenario.
I think that's the best case scenario. But yeah, I think the reclass option would be something they would look at.
I think Jameer's going to go though.
Yeah, he's got to.
I think, but
Yeah.
then again, we think Otega is going to come back, and here we are still waiting.
I think I might hate the deadline.
It's my least favorite part of the offseason thus far, for sure.
Yeah,
We're allowing people who like to milk spotlight to really milk the spotlight.
I would be so bad during the deadline.
Yeah, you wouldn't even commit by the deadline. You would make people wait like 2 days after.
Oh shit, I missed it.
Oh,